Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, all. Thank you for being here today. It was lovely to see some of you yesterday as well at our final virtual retreat yesterday, which was on Sangha. And this is a continuation of that theme on Sundays with Sangha. I found a quote that I really liked. And it says, spiritual friendship, Sangha, is half the spiritual path, said Ananda to Buddha. No, the Buddha replied, spiritual friendship is the whole way. So I thought that was appropriate for this session as well as if you were with us yesterday. This is our retreat in person. If you were there yesterday and you thought, one day was great, but 5 would be even better. Here you go. So I'd love to have you join us in October. You have about till the middle of October to sign up. If you've signed up, we're just asking that you pay your balance by the end of this month, September. That's all I have to share right now, but I'm very thrilled to have John and Elizabeth leading us today in our practice. So I will turn it over to them. Many thanks to you.
Thanks, Menla. Great to see you guys. And morning, afternoon, evening. Yes, yesterday was such a beautiful day to spend together, and we are definitely looking forward to being able to continue our practice together on retreat in Connecticut, and certainly would love to see as many of you there if you're able to join us. It's wonderful to see, think about Sangha and the power of Sangha to keep our practice really alive and juicy. And it's said that the Dharma is the highest gift that we can receive. And I, for one, and I know you all are very grateful to our dear Lama and are really grateful for our unimaginable good fortune to encounter his teachings and the lineage in our own paths. So great to be with you, and good morning, good afternoon, and welcome.
So hi, everybody. I'm John. Welcome. Nice to see you all.
And we're so glad that we're able to continue maybe the energy of yesterday's home retreat on the importance of Sangha, the essential qualities of Sangha, and deep gratitude to Lama Surya for creating the space for all of us to share and connect and to learn about, and to sort of all these online opportunities, right, that he has been sustaining for all of us. So let's just take a moment as all these beautiful faces are popping in to just settle, arrive. Here we are. Where else could we ever be? This is it. We get to do this, folks. How lucky we are. As we notice this precious space that we're in together, also widening our circle of care, opening our hearts together with each breath. Why don't we begin our practice together with the 7-line supplication to Padmasambhava. So Menla, if you could put up page 1. Thank you so much. We'll chant together. And as we do so, we will be kind of taking in our gratitude to the lineage masters, to the invisible ray of fellow practitioners and benefactors, and to our dear Lama, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of time and space, asking that they will be present in us and with us. Jen Yuljinu Jang Sam Pemage Sadang Pola Yatsen Shoki Nurubnye Pema Jungne Jesudrak Kodu Kandro Mang Pokor Kieki Jesu dakdruki, Jinji lapshir sheksu so, Guru pe masiri hum, Om ahum benza 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 Guru pe masiri hum.
Okay, so let's read the four immeasurable aspirations and then the four dharmas of Gampopa and Longchenpa on page 5. Seen there. So, may all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the inner causes of suffering. May all beings remain undivided from the sacred joy which is free from suffering. May all beings come to rest in the great peace and equanimity beyond attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers.
And the four dharmas of Gampopa and Longchenpa. Bless and empower us that our minds and hearts turn toward the Dharma. Bless and empower us that our Dharma practice becomes the path. Bless and empower us that the path truly dispels confusion. Bless and empower us that confusion itself dawns as primordial awareness. So each of us, I think, has certain themes or pressing questions that have a kind of special aliveness for us at different times of our lives. And sometimes they really demand our attention or lurk in the background of our lives, waiting for that perfect moment to dangle a hook for our minds to grab onto. And that, for me, that last line of Gampopa's, bless and empower us that confusion itself dawns as primordial awareness, has so much power. It's always felt so alive to me. These days, with the intensity and even the darkness of the news around us, at times I feel the pull of confusion in the form of anxiety and even at times fear. I found it to be really fertile ground for practice for myself in the way that all phenomena and all experiences ultimately are, right? So when John and I were reflecting on these kinds of hooks and places of personal vulnerability, when I mentioned the availability of fear to me right now, John, you mentioned the power of relaxation. Imaho. So we decided that perhaps exploring fear and relaxation, which might feel a little counterintuitive maybe, would be interesting and something to sort of feel into. How can we really relax in the midst of fear or other afflictive emotions? You know, what can we do when these emotions show up? And what's our relationship with fear and relaxation? So, John, I just wanted to pose that question to you.
Thank you. So, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I consider myself a bit of an expert on fear and anxiety because, you know, everyone has their challenges, and my lifelong challenge has been those two things. Just to kind of throw my credentials out there as an experiencer of fear. My parents had a really messy divorce when I was 7, and that involved a move in a new school and all that stuff. And there was mental illness in my family involved with that. And, I was kind of made it through that. And then when I was 22, my father died suddenly. We were scuba diving and he died in an instant. And he was my best friend and we had a great relationship. And that really pulled the rug out from under me in a huge way. And that was 40 years ago. And I just got over it last Tuesday. So I think was an incredible encounter with impermanence. And the takeaway I think that my nervous system had was, you better watch out, dude, because whatever it is that you think you have can be ripped away at any second, which of course is a theme that's, pretty central to Buddhism and the message of Buddhism. And yet how to deal with that, how to, make impermanence into something that we're comfortable with or can rely on, rather than just being nervous and jerky is, I think a big topic and one worthy of explanation. So, fear and anxiety are complicated, I think, in my experience, because they are emotional states. They're also somatic states in the body, and they also have thoughts that, often accompany them and trigger them and spin around and cycle with the physical feeling triggers a thought, figures more physical feelings. And some of the physiology of this is just the workings of the nervous system. The fight, flight, or freeze response of the sympathetic nervous system is no doubt, has a very sound evolutionary basis that we can all appreciate, that people who didn't have that kind of vigilance and didn't have that kind of negativity bias to be like, oh my gosh, it's a threat, and, have adrenaline and cortisol and all that stuff be released in the body and be able to hyper focus and respond quickly, is very adaptive. And probably what evolution figured, if we can personify it for a moment, is it's much better to respond, to 100 false threats than to fail to respond to a real threat. So we're really wired to get activated and agitated by perceived threats. The difference between now and our ancestors on the savannah is that those threats were physical. Here comes a lion, here comes a hostile band of humans. I need to react and respond quickly and immediately. And now in, modern Western life, our threats are seldom physical, but our nervous systems haven't really caught up with that news at all, that social threats and everything else don't necessarily require this type of activation. So, you get an email that seems threatening to your ego at work, or, a loved one says something that you don't like or the wrong way, or that threatens you one way or another. And we get that same, historical evolutionary activation of our sympathetic nervous system. So I guess the good news in some ways is that there's also the parasympathetic nervous system, the so-called rest and digest phase, the relaxation phase of the nervous system. And these two are basically a seesaw. They're mutually inhibitory. So if you're in fight or flight reaction, you're not relaxed. And if you're relaxed, you're not in fight or flight reaction. So to the extent that we can find ways to relax, that will take care of at least the physical aspects of fear and anxiety. So with a great deal of credit to Lama Roger Walsh, from whom I have borrowed inspiration and just outright stolen a bunch of stuff that I've heard in talks from of his. I think there are two kind of ways to address the situation when you find yourself in a state of fear and anxiety. One way is kind of concrete behavioral, you can call it, climbing up from below relative practices to calm yourself down. And then there's a whole, other approach within meditation. And so to just share a little bit of a toolkit for the relative practices, the kind of practical stuff. And, you can find all sorts of things online about this, but just to tick a few off. And also, a caveat, this is, in my view, for kind of the ordinary realm of stress and anxiety and fear. If these become really, really acute or, clinical in a way, obviously you should put on the top of the list, seek appropriate medical or other help. But for the kind of DIY stress, anxiety, and fear that we all appreciate or all experience and can all deal with, a bunch of quick suggestions. One is simply talk to someone about it or journal about it. By talking to someone, you separate yourself, create a little bit of space from the feeling and the thoughts that you're experiencing. And by putting it out there on the table, it objectifies it somewhat and creates that distance. Exercise. I despise exercise. If I could hire someone to do it for me, I would in a heartbeat. But sadly, it's incredibly effective for this. I don't think there's ever been a single time that I've exercised where I didn't find that I came out of it more calm, more relaxed, by some degree than when I went into it. There are breathing exercises, the so-called square breathing, where you say inhale for an amount, but say, 5 seconds, then hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, then inhale again. Very effective. And in fact, any kind of breathing where you exhale longer than your inhale tends to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and calm you down. So highly effective, and it's in a way built into our practices when Lama has us take a deep breath and hold it for a second and go ah. That's exactly what we're doing, and that's exactly why it feels good. There's of course relaxation training itself, of those exercises where you systematically tense your muscles, hold, release them, also very effective. And finally, there's the and I think Elizabeth will talk more about aspects of this, there's the investigating what's going on and kind of leaning into it. So anyway, that's my little toolkit of relative practices before we get to the deeper end of the pool with meditation and relaxation. So how about you?
Well, I like you have, and I think many of us do, the residue of fear from difficult childhood experiences, and which I've worked to metabolize and integrate over time. And I will note that just a little while ago, this isn't really to the point of fear, but to the point of afflictive, strong emotions. We recently learned that our beloved dog was very ill, and that was a bit of a shock. So metabolizing anything that arises that's unexpected in life is an opportunity, right? So these days, and I don't know if any of you feel this way, but I have noticed it kind of in the ether, a confluence of very serious things that are happening outside what appear to be happening in the so-called real world, right? The lingering effects of the pandemic, the many grave impacts that's had, environmental crisis, global conflicts, and so on. And of course, the intensity of our own political environment, and just tuning in, you're going to be aware that some of these things are happening. So I bring this up not to accentuate it, but just to give it some air, not to reify it, but to explore how some of the emotions that can be, at least in me, pinged, just that are in the ether kind of, that can feel like a personal threat, even if they're not necessarily a personal threat. It can feel that way. So it's a very human experience, right? To tune in to things around us and to feel affected by them. So one of the things that I'm practicing with and that I find really useful is actually maybe doing the opposite of what it feels like when something like this arises, which is to really become curious and to slow down and look at it, to look at the fear or the anxiety or whatever afflictive emotion it might be, and really lean into it, like gently. Just hold it in awareness. So within awareness, and like dropping into the view, for me, kind of widening my attention is really helpful, right? Like opening the aperture wider, because we tend to go like focus, 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 on the thing, whatever the thing is. And so sort of practicing trying to open and drop more for me can be really, really comforting and really kind of amazing. So from the view, you might notice that the feeling is just part of a boundless, vast space. And that the feeling is not separate, right, from all phenomena, but a part of the whole. It might also be that when you start working with an emotion like this, it feels larger, and that as it's dropped into awareness and kind of staying aware and in the view, being with what is, that thing can, interesting things can happen. It can be in the periphery somewhere, could be, and also just staying with it and seeing what happens. We can actually rest with it in awareness. We can actually relax with that experience of like an infinite manifestation of what's happening all the time, that it's an experience, but within this huge vastness. So I've actually had a few experiences of staying with this kind of emotion and having a kind of accident. I know Lama says there are no accidents, right? Karmic accidents, but even grace of holding fear or aversion in a wide space and having it really give way, like kind of letting go and dropping into that and experiencing like a sudden sense of freedom, or a sudden sense of joy and gratitude, which is kind of amazing, right? Like going into this aversive space, dropping within the view, within the safety of the refuge of our practice, and having it kind of go poof can happen. By, of course, we know that willing it away or pushing it away just will not have that effect. And not that this is not the reason to do this practice, because who knows? This, like I said, there's a grace involved here, but just the commitment to leaning in and curiosity can be very, very powerful. And then the trust that, that in doing that, there can be this sense of holes or the lack of solidity of an emotion can become apparent, that you can feel a kind of Swiss cheese of it, of having it loosen and sort of become part of everything, not separate, just as we are, right? Not separate. So our identification, the personal identification with my feeling, can actually give way to something much, much faster, and also take away this feeling by dropping in awareness. So it's actually kind of amazing to feel that and to know that within awareness, any experience that feels like it could be something we don't want to look at can become a gift, a true gift for practice, fertile ground for practice, and also a gift of like of like knowing that we can work with it, that it's all workable, and that it's a way of dropping away into the vastness of awareness. And it's actually quite a beautiful, I feel it's been an amazing experience to really work with these things. So when I think about the difficulties that can arise just on a given day, or even just that the general feelings that might emerge sometimes in our general, say, situation in space and time at this moment, can be very much part of our day-to-day work and our practice. So those are some thoughts about how I work with this stuff, and how I've also learned from our own Lama and from our practice over time, how these things are workable.
So speaking of practice, Menla, could you please bring up the Bodhicitta and Bodhisattva vows on page 3? And it says here, John rings bell 3 times, so you do that, let's see. From now until reaching perfect Buddhahood, for the benefit of all sentient beings without exceptions, I shall practice the 6 perfections wholeheartedly, day and night. Sentient beings are numberless, we vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible, we vow to transcend them. Dharma teachings are boundless, we vow to realize them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable, we vow to embody it. Okay, so let's take my own advice and start with a deep breath or two. Let's take a deep breath and hold it for a moment. Once more with feeling. So as we're settling in, a thought or two that I wanted to share. The thing that has been the most meaningful to me in the last few years of practice has been something that Lama Roger said on a retreat in October of 2023, which was that when you think about it, the 2 things that are most central to Dzogchen meditation are relaxation and attention. And that hit me like a thunderbolt, because while I had been on this lifelong quest to deal with my anxiety and relax, I somehow had missed the memo that relaxation is at the very heart of our practice, and that we're allowed to relax, and that we're supposed to relax. And that's exactly what's going on when we're doing our Dzogchen practice. And so Lama Roger also pointed out that relaxation is not something you do, it's something you allow. And those breaths that we just took are kind of the example of that. If you stop doing other things, your body will naturally relax and center, and then all sorts of things open up. So let's just practice that now for a few moments of just those two things, just allowing relaxation to be present in our bodies and our minds, and at the same time, just holding attention, just paying attention, nothing else. heart of the matter, deep and profound. It relates to many of our pith instructions from Lama. Relaxation is leaving it as it is. It's effortlessness. Nothing to do, nothing to achieve, nothing to remember. Just relaxing. Ah. On some level, the very sense of self can be relaxed because there's a subtle energy required to maintain the distinction between ourselves and everything else. That can be simply let go in non-dual Dzogchen meditation. say that relaxation is Dzogchen itself, that it is the natural great perfection, because in the view of everything as naturally perfect and complete, there's nothing to do but relax and enjoy it.
And another way to continue relaxing and even to deepen relaxation can be through sound and through chanting as a way of connecting with each other, with ourselves, with everything through the embodied practice and feeling the vibration within your own body. If you wish to sing along, or just letting the sounds kind of wash over you and kind of go further. So let's chant the third mantra together, Om Mani Padme Hum. Couple different melodies that Lama does. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. May all beings be healed. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Love to all. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Opening. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Connecting and resting. Om making room. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 In the flow. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Mantra 4. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som, at ease and aligned. Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som, dynamically aware. Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Thank you, Tara. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som Tare Tu Tare Tu Re. Som To close our practice today, let's chant the dedication of virtue to complete realization and the bodhicitta dedication on page 13. Kewa di nyududak zokpa chenpo drukyurne droa chikyang malupa de sala gopashok. Through this virtue, may we swiftly realize and fully embody the natural great perfection, and thereby bring all, without exception, to its complete realization. Jangchup Senchok Rinpoche, Makye Panam Kye Gyurchik, Kye Panyam Pame Payang, Gongne Gondu Pelwa Shok. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened.
Okay, and to really close our practice, let's read the dedication prayer and the new millennium prayer. So, the dedication prayer. Through the merit of this, may the light of the Buddha's precious teaching remain for ages to come, the ground for every single kind of benefit and happiness. May all the supreme holders of the teachings who uphold its living truth accept to live for aeons, and their lotus feet stand firm. And so may the sun of altruism and well-being in all its blazing splendor shine the brilliant light of the study and practice of Buddha Dharma throughout every corner of the universe. May beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world, and an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey, one beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home. So thank you all. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they would like to share? Don't be shy.
You can raise your hand or unmute yourself or put some love in the chat.
All right. Well.
Oh, hi, Heather, Joe. Thank you all. Great to see you all today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your presence here. Wonderful to be with you all, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.